Welcome back to Tale 3 Cabins. It's about that time, and I'm going to share some of my own experience with this, but it's time for that little talk. And I think you know what I'm talking about. It's that time on the calendar, and we really need to discuss some things here. So I hope you stick around and hear me through, because I think this is very important. Okay, so you might be thinking that I'm talking about the birds and the bees. Well, I'm kind of talking about the Sunna and the Moona and the Juna.
I love to sing about the Moona and the Juna and the Springer. I love to sing about a sky of blue.
Actually make that April. And what I'm talking about is next month in April is going to be a total eclipse of the sun by the moon. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because people think of a solar eclipse and they think, what's the big deal? And I'm sure that you've been in an area where you've had a partial solar eclipse and you look up and maybe you get a special lens and you look at the sun and you see, yeah, the moon's covering part of the sun, but it really doesn't change much of your surroundings and it pretty much goes unnoticeable. But a total eclipse is something that is just way different than a partial. Even if partial is 98%, the difference between 98% and 100% is 1,000 times better, maybe 100,000 times better. Come April 8th in northern Ohio, where we live, we are going to be in a path of totality. It's going to cross a good section of the United States, going south to north. I'm not sure the time frames of which time it's going to be, but in my area it's going to be around 3 p.m. So we're going to be very fortunate that we're going to be in a path of totality. Back in 2017, there was another eclipse, and that was crossing almost west to east across the United States. So we were fortunate at that time to have our cabin in Tennessee, and I want to share that experience with you because maybe it will drive you to want to go see this. Maybe it'll drive you to want to drive 100 miles or 200 miles or 300 miles just to get in the path of totality and see a once-in-a-lifetime event. Now back in 2017, it was unfortunate, but our cabin had burned down in 2016. And our builder told us that he would have the cabin back up and we would be able to use it sometime in June of 2017. Well, that was not going to happen. The eclipse that happened in 2017 happened in August. Our cabin was far from being done. We thought we'd be able to stay in it, but we could not. But we went down anyways. We got a cheap hotel. So we were able to visit our cabin, see some of the construction going on, and also kind of give them tips and pointers where we wanted certain fixtures to be at, make detailed markings and everything like that. If you want to know more about our cabin that burned down and the problems we had rebuilding it, I'll leave some links at the end of this video. But anyways, we were hoping to stay down there in the cabin, but it was not going to be ready, so we got a cheap hotel. Down there is the National Park, the Great Smoky Mountains, and they anticipated a large population of folks coming down there to witness this event. So what they ended up doing is they closed off the park to visitors unless they had a pass to get in. So you had to buy a special ticket to go see the eclipse. These tickets went on sale a few months earlier in the year at a certain time and day. Now I was actually working at the fire station when these tickets were going on sale. It was going to be at 10 a.m. on a certain day, a couple months before the eclipse, and I was all prepared. I lucked out. I was shift commander that day, so I could kind of set the schedule. So I set aside some time for me to have a 15-minute block of time that I could try to get these tickets for the eclipse. So 10 o'clock rolled around, which is when the tickets went on sale. I was logged in. I was all prepared. I knew all the links I had to hit and which part of the national park that we wanted to go view the eclipse at. Everything opened up. I put 4 tickets in the shopping cart for the Clingmans Dome area, which is the highest point in the Smoky Mountains. I thought it'd be really cool to view the eclipse up there on top of the mountain. And I went to go check out, and the site crashed. I had to re-log in, go through all the steps and links again to get to where I was before, and I get back in and it's all sold out. So those tickets were all sold out. Then I checked some of the other areas of the national park that might still have tickets, like Cades Cove and some of the other ones that they had special passes to get into. I literally watched them go from 20, 12, 8 to 0 within seconds, and everything just sold out. I was pretty brokenhearted that we didn't get it, and then I was on the site and I'm looking in the upper right-hand corner, and my shopping cart is there with the number 4 on it. So I clicked on that, and I still had those tickets in my shopping cart. Long story short, I was still able to purchase the tickets. So we had 4 tickets, and we were all ready for the big event. Rolls around, we go down to Tennessee. We get there a couple days early, time enough to check out the cabin. We also got enough tickets for our niece and nephew who wanted to also witness this event. The eclipse day rolls around, and we hop on a bus in Gatlinburg. that takes us up into the Smoky Mountains, and it takes us up to the Gleeman's Dome area. Forget how many buses there were, but they were allowing about 2,000 people up there in that section of the park, and then there were other sections where they were allowing another couple thousand people here and a couple thousand people there. So if you plan on trying to view this eclipse, there's going to be all kinds of events going on with state parks and national parks and science centers that if you can get in with a group like that, I highly recommend it, because there'll be a lot of options. Like when we went up to Gleeman's Dome, they had an option to view the sun with special lenses on there, so you're not going to burn out your retinas. NASA was up there doing research. There was all kinds of displays up there.
Research for this event, I saw a quote from a scientist on CNN that was comparing the difference between a 99% covered sun and a 100% covered sun. And he said, it's the difference between being on your first date and being on your wedding night, which is one of the more interesting analogies I've heard about the eclipse. But I think the point is, it's going to be very, very cool.
There was a lot of other research facilities up there. It was very interesting, and there were some astronauts up there, but it was a pretty big to-do up there. It was kind of cool to be part of that special event with a nice group of people. But then when the event itself starts to happen and we're all watching the same thing and you start hearing the oohs and ahs, I think it really magnifies exactly how that event goes. So the event itself will take a couple hours on the one side of the moon getting ready to cover up the sun, then you have totality, and then you have another couple hours of the moon moving out of the way of the view of the sun. So the whole event took about 4 hours altogether, and you're really just there for that 4 minutes of totality. Some people might see 5 depending on where they are in the country. But during that 4 minutes, it's been explained to me as spiritual and life-changing to a lot of people.
You will receive total consciousness.
On my expectations of seeing this, I was expecting something great, and when it happened, it was 1,000 times greater than my expectations. It really was. It was very hard to explain exactly. You see pictures of it. You can find some higher end photos of the event. I still don't think it captures the actual event itself of seeing it live. So we got up to Gleeman's Dome. It was my wife Karen and I, and then our niece and nephew. We picked out a spot, laid out a blanket, and that's where we set up. I did bring a special camera. It was pretty much just a cheap camera, almost a point and shoot, but it does have a very good zoom lens on it. And I bought some cheap Mylar paper to put over the lens cover. I cut out an end of a poster, you know, the rolls you get for a poster. I cut out that end. I put this Mylar on it that I got on eBay for like $3 or $4. I put that over my lens so I could shoot the sun while the moon was getting ready to cover it. I tested it out a few times before we went down to Tennessee, and it seemed to work pretty good. I could actually see sunspots with it. That's what I used primarily leading up to the event. So when things start happening and the moon starts covering up the sun, we started taking pictures. It was kind of a cloudy day when we got up there, and we were all kind of worried that we were going to miss this by clouds. There were more clouds up there than clear skies, and occasionally the sun would pop out. You'd see the moon covering up the sun. We'd snap pictures. I'd snap some pictures with the special lens cover that I made, and you could definitely tell the event was starting. But just looking at your surroundings, everything else just seemed normal. As the afternoon went on and we were getting close to that 90% mark where the moon is covering the sun, you do notice that your surroundings start to change, and it's almost like a sunny day, but you put some sunglasses on, and that's what the difference feels like with sunglasses and without, with that 90%. It starts to get a little bit darker as it's getting closer to totality. It was pretty cool. A little kid just yelled out, "Look, a star."
There's a star!
Oh yeah, look at that.
Venus is supposed to be right there. And you could actually see a star up in the sky. It was the planet Venus, but it was bright enough while the sun was still a little bit out, and the sky had darkened enough that you could see this. It was pretty cool. He pointed it out, and then everybody else went, "Ooh." It was just a neat little moment, probably with just a few more minutes to go. We had some apps on our phone that were telling us exactly when totality was going to occur. We were counting it down.
Stop really quickly. Oh, it's just a smidge. Alright, we're like 30 seconds. Whoa, it's so warm. I gotta get it.
the Park Service were warning us about eye damage, so it is very important to have those special glasses or welder's glasses on if you're going to start viewing this before totality. As we were counting down, they told us exactly when we could take our glasses off, how long you can keep them off for, and then told us when we could put them back on. But when that moment of totality occurred, it got dark all around us. The crickets started making noise and the birds stopped making noise. It was just a very surreal experience. One thing about being on top of a mountain though, it wasn't totally dark because we were so high up that you could still see the outskirts where it wasn't totality. So it almost looked like we had a 360-degree sunset around us. But I think if we would have been in an area not on top of a mountain, you would have noticed that darkness much more prominent. But where we were at, you could definitely see that we were in a darker patch of the totality, but you could see on the edges, because you could see for miles up there, you could still tell where the sun was shining.
Check it out. Oh my God. That is incredible.
Do it so you can hear it. I'll do it. I'm ready. Oh my God.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. Oh my God.
Want to take a picture with each other? Hurry up, take a picture with each other. Both of us.
Here's Bruce.
That is incredible.
Oh, this is like wild.
Oh my God. Probably stop looking now.
Oh, there it is. That's the diamond ring. That's the diamond ring. Yeah, I know.
Oh, wow, how cool. All right, this was worth it, Cam. It's like a flashlight almost.
It's still
Yeah, I
dark.
know.
It's like just randomly getting brighter. So fast.
This is back in 2017, so I did the best I could with the camera I had, and then I used my iPhone, which was probably like an iPhone 6 at the time, to record some of the video. But the video is not going to be the greatest, but I think the camera shots actually turned out pretty good. As soon as the event started happening, it was just crazy because the clock is ticking and you only have 4 minutes and you're thinking, what are you going to do with that 4 minutes? Do you want to capture pictures? Do you want to kiss your wife? Do you want to take pictures with people around you? Do you just want to soak it all in? It was just an amazing experience. The oohs and ahs just made it all the better. And then towards the end, when the sun peeked out on the other side, it was just like everybody was, it was like a letdown that it was over.
There it is. That's the diamond ring. That's the diamond ring. Yeah, I know.
This video is pretty much a public service video. I had a great experience in 2017 and I'm going to hopefully be able to do it again here in 2024 next month. We won't have to travel anywhere. We'll be able to stay at home. In Northern Ohio around April 8th though, it's a crapshoot on if it's going to be cloudy or rainy or if we're going to have a clear sky. I think the odds are that it's going to be cloudy or rainy and less of a chance of having a clear sky, but you never know. But I do know if I see the weather forecast and it's calling for clouds around us, but let's say 100 miles in one direction it's going to be clear, I'm probably going to hop in our car and go that 100 miles in that direction to go see it. I think it's well worth it. If you've never seen it before, you think it's just an exaggeration, I think you really need to check it out. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event. These things do not occur that often. They don't occur that often in the United States. There are people that once they see these things, though, they go chasing them all the time. They go on cruises, they go on special plane flights, they travel to other countries. It's definitely an allure to it, one that I cannot afford, but I'm fortunate enough to have seen one, and I definitely want to see another. And I'm passing this along to you that if you are in the path or close to the path, do whatever you can to go see it because it is worth your while. So come April 8th, we have a lot of family coming into town and are going to stay with us, and we're all crossing our fingers that we're going to have some clear skies and be able to view this thing. But I'll share that stuff with you and see what happens on April 8th around 2:50 in the afternoon. I hope you have a chance to also experience this. I would appreciate if you leave some comments below if you're in the path of totality, if you have plans to view this. If you didn't have plans, I would go make some, because it really is something to see. So I appreciate everybody watching. I hope you enjoy and subscribe to these videos. Click on that little bell when you want to know when new one's coming out. And keep an eye on us. Take care, everybody.